Hey guys, Sam and Katie here coming to you live from the studio. Man, there's a lot to talk about.
Oh boy, yep.
A whole lot. And we got to thank you, of course, for tuning in because we assure you, if you're able to watch through this, there's going to be some nuggets of truth in here and insight. We just got back to the game of shooting weddings this past weekend, and a lot has changed. So in this video, just to recap, to give you a little insight as far as what we're going to be chatting about briefly. And once again, we're trying to keep it brief because we don't want to take up too much time of yours. But we're going to talk about the new wedding day reality, right? And we experienced that, and that was eye-opening to us shooting this past weekend. We're going to talk about the rescheduling challenges. We have so many couples dealing with this right now, and we want to make sure we share that information with you as well. And then we're also going to talk about, of course, our actual response to the COVID-19 and kind of what we've been doing to help out. So let's just dig into this, right? So we had our first wedding back, and it's kind of funny because we literally shot to the final minutes
Before the stay-at-home order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that wedding was interesting. Actually got featured on the Sun-Times, which was really cool. But either way, you go from that to firing back up last week and shooting our first wedding, and
Which it was awesome to get back out, though.
Oh, for sure.
That was exciting.
But it was a whole new reality, right? And it was so eye-opening to us because we shoot so many weddings, and a lot of things that, you would expect to happen or things you took for granted no longer are
existent.
At least not in this day and age, right? And I'm not saying it will never happen again, but there's new realities that we have to deal with, and it's important that we bring them up because this is if you're planning your wedding day, most likely you're gonna have to deal with some of these things, and kind of digging in with those. Let's just talk about what all the guests were doing during the ceremony, right? And that's
Distancing themselves.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that, but it was the live streaming. So everyone literally has their cell phones out, and everyone wants to live stream your ceremony. Whoever's lucky enough to be at your ceremony is trying to live stream it. Now, the problem is they don't know what they're doing, some of these people. So it's in this ceremony, in this scenario,
there was people talking. I can't see the bride and groom, turn me around. And then obviously that audio, everyone can hear, and it's a distraction.
Yeah, I mean, because these are smaller, intimate weddings, and here, like Katie was saying, I think we were getting pretty close to the vows, and sure enough, what we hear is some random person on a cell phone saying they couldn't see or hear. It's where's this voice coming from? It's just, it's distracting, right? So
and all heads turn when that focus should really be on the bride and groom and that special moment that's about to unfold.
For sure. So definitely anticipate that. A lot of your guests are going to want to live stream it to their friends, their family members who weren't able to make it, which is totally understandable. If they're going to do it, make sure they know how to do it. Make sure that it doesn't become a distraction, as far as that's what I would recommend, especially on your wedding day. The last thing you want to do is be caught up in the middle of your vows and someone starts chiming in off the cell phone, which is a whole nother level of distraction, I feel like, right? But yeah, Katie jumped the gun. So social distancing, let's talk about that over the entire day, right? Because it was pretty much from start to end, the whole social distancing challenge, right? Yeah. So not so much in the morning because there's no bridal party, at least for this wedding, right?
Yeah.
It was just,
mom and bride and makeup artist and hairstylist.
So no issues there. But as soon as we went to the ceremony,
that's where it became a little bit more challenging. I mean, you see the chairs they were probably about 6 feet apart. Do you think?
At least.
Yeah. 6 feet apart from each other.
Chair, yeah.
And then all the guests that started arriving, they're in opposite ends of, the courtyard. We had the wedding in a courtyard, essentially. Yeah. So that was really tough, I feel like.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously the chairs, that's understandable. But the fact is, people are, to this point, the psychology has changed and no one wants to be near each other to a degree. So it was little sporadic pockets of people all completely spread out. And that was challenging, because it's you want to capture people interacting and enjoying themselves. And you could see the tense moments of people didn't know, should I go say hello or should we stand over here? I mean, I was out by the entrance, and a lot of people just kind of hung out even in groups out in the parking lot because they literally waited till the last minute.
I didn't see that.
Yeah. I mean, I was over there. Wow. And it's crazy. we get it as far as that goes, but this is something you're going to have to, understand is like, this is a new day and age where a lot of people are fearful, which is understandable. And there's going to be that challenge. Like Katie's going to talk here about the family photos, which was
definitely, I love family photos. That's something that I feel like I hang my hat on. I'm like, that's my superpower is I can cruise through and get good quality family photos in a timely manner. And that completely changed on this wedding day. And it gave me that new realization, like, oh no, like this is probably never going to, at least for the time being, not going to be the same way as well. And what I found was, again, same thing. The family didn't want to stay in that close proximity to each other. So something that I, moving forward or thinking forward, would recommend, hey, whoever wants to be involved in family photos, let them know up front. And obviously we have to respect those who don't want to be in those family photos. And just know, all right, it's going to take a little bit more time because they're reluctant. They're reluctant to come on in. And it's like, okay, I had to coax some people, even if they were in their masks too. And that's another thing that we're going to have to touch upon. Some people were going to be involved in the family photos, but I would say about half of them kept their masks on.
Yeah. So long story short, one thing we notice at a lot of weddings is being that we shoot photo and video, when we're shooting with different photographers, family photos can go off the rails very quickly and turn into a very long shoot. And kind of like Katie was talking about, we do strive to get through them fast and effectively, not in a manner where you are feeling raced or where you're giving up quality, but in a manner where we're not wasting your time. And we always stress preparation is key to that, right? Letting people know up front beforehand. I always tell people, let your officiant or your pastor, whoever it is, before the ceremony's even over, make sure that they know, hey, immediate family, if that's who you want, hang back for photos immediately following the ceremony, so that way people know and they don't just start to disperse and now you're chasing people down, right? Yeah. But yeah, long story short, you're going to have to figure out like who you want in these family photos. I mean, it's going to get a lot more challenging and more complex because people are obviously very fearful when it comes to now being close to people. So you're better off to, I recommend, tackle this out of the gate before before the wedding even happens, and stress this to your friends, your family members, what you are hoping to do, and see where they're at. So that way you're not trying to,
wrangle them in.
Yeah, wrangle them in or force people, outside their comfort zones, right, at the end of the day. And that way you can get through this effectively. And the good thing, if you do stick to immediate family, I mean, you should still be able to cruise through those. But it's one of those things you got to figure out what you're willing to do, your give and take at the end of the day. Now, the other thing too with the masks, like my fear is when we turn over these photos and videos to people is, what are they going to say 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Like, yeah, I understand the safety element of it, but my fear is when people are looking back at these, they're going to be like, these look ridiculous, right?
Oh man, like, I wish the masks were off.
Yeah, I mean, because literally the DJ had a mask, everyone had masks, right? And I mean, our shooting style thankfully complemented that, and we were able to adapt quickly. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I was shooting to hide things. Like, that's what I'm trying to do, is hide imperfections, right? Hide things that I don't want to showcase. And seeing the bride come down the aisle and the DJ positioned back there like that, the last thing I want is this shot of, this DJ with this huge blue mask all over his entire face, right? I feel like that's
distracting.
Absolutely. So I definitely had it punched in, and here I got this beautiful bride and her dad, and I can get their reaction without a bunch of people, with the mask. Like, I still had my wide shot for backups, but still, it's never been more important to make sure you have a team who knows how to shoot around these things. Unless, like I said, unless you're totally cool with every single photo or shot having these distractions in it, because the honesty of it is, I would say the majority of masks were homemade.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, there's a huge shortage, right? So that's a challenge. But I mean, man, the patterns we've seen and the craftsmanship was all over the board. Some were really good looking and professional made. Others, wow. And I'm not dogging anyone, but I'm just saying, now put that in perspective with your family and ask who's going to, if you can think about it, I guarantee you're like, yep, Uncle Bob, I know exactly what kind of crazy mask he would wear because he's Uncle Bob, right? Either way, you got to anticipate these things and understand. And definitely, if that's important to you and you want clean photos that Don't show COVID-19 in every single photo of your wedding day. Stress that with your team. Let them know up front, because photographers and videographers, they don't have that mindset, unfortunately, the majority of them. They just shoot what happens. They're not there. Like, we're meticulous about hiding things.
Yeah. And anticipating things. And,
absolutely.
And putting everything in its best light. And that's something that we always strive to do. So even like editing on the wedding day, like you touched upon, obviously that's what you're doing when you're zooming in close to, with the video, and the same thing with photo as well.
Yeah. Now, the other thing I want to chat about too is briefly the challenge for these couples. So like literally the couple that got married just before the stay-at-home order and the couple that we just shot their wedding this past weekend had a lot of the same issues. Those issues were their vendor team, very hard to work with. Like our bride just before the stay-at-home order, she was like ecstatic that we made it. Like she thought we weren't going to make it. Like one thing, when we commit to a wedding, we show up and we shoot. Like that's us.
It wasn't in our mind that we were not going to shoot. Like that has never crossed my mind throughout this whole process. It's like, we're committed. We're going to show up. We're going to shoot your day.
That's our mentality. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that's us. Like we're dedicated, right?
Yeah.
But her makeup artists
didn't show,
refused to show up, let her know they weren't going to show up because they didn't feel comfortable. And I'm not saying one's good or bad at the end of the day. What I am saying is make sure you're cognizant of this, because these couples are experiencing issues, right?
Yeah.
The DJ from this past wedding, it seemed like very hard from what the couple was sharing.
Yeah. You had to stay, I think, 7 to 10 feet away.
He wanted 7. Yeah. He said he wants everyone 7 to 10 feet away from him, or
I'm not sure
packing up.
I'm not sure what would happen, but
so
that's pretty strict rules, especially when you're paying a good amount of money to someone still on your wedding day.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Well, from a vendor standpoint, our model is we're going to work with you, right? That's our belief. We want to make and reduce the stress. And I think that's a little ridiculous when you add more stress to them. I'm not saying that it was a bad decision on his part as far as like to want social distance. What I am saying though is there's better ways to go about that, I think, right? Sure. And without adding that stress to the couple, right?
Because our couples have gone through so much already.
Yeah, for sure.
You have these expectations that you're going to have this big wedding, and then obviously due to no fault of their own, they've had to make these changes to at least have a wedding day versus kick it out, to the fall or even the following year.
Yeah. Now, even the venue actually gave the couple a lot of trouble as well, which was really shocking. We're not going to dig too much into that. Long story short is vendors, make sure they're there to work for you. At least that's what I'd recommend. We're there to work for you. Mm-hmm. There's enough headaches going on. We want to be a rock that you can say, man, our team was awesome. They were there for us every step. We didn't have issues. They were there regardless of the troubles. Like that's our goal, right? Yeah. But yeah, we're seeing, unfortunately, the opposite, where they're adding a lot of stress and it's turning this huge debacle, which is not good.
Kind of heart-wrenching though.
Yeah, absolutely. So either way, long story short, we hope that everyone just recognizes before you go on your wedding day this new this new reality when it comes to what you can expect on the wedding day, and hopefully this adds some new value. Now we also gotta talk about the 2020 wedding day exodus that we're seeing, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so many couples are frantically trying to reschedule their wedding days because a lot of information wasn't offered, and now Illinois is kind of clearing the air and letting people know, like, all right, this is the steps until we open up. Yeah. And for couples, a lot of them, they see the writing on the wall, and it's like, there's no way this wedding's happening.
Especially with the amount of people that they were expecting initially.
So everyone is racing to reschedule to 2021. Now the problem is, there's a few here, right? So 2021 already had a bunch of brides and grooms, right? Now you're doubling that. So it's 2 times the amount of brides and grooms looking to lock in the day. Not quite 2 times, but almost 2 times. Like the mass majority of weddings are rescheduling. Yeah. And they're all filing into 2021. So the problem though on our end is not only is it now twice the amount of brides looking for dates in 2021, but now everyone's unfortunately running into issues with their vendor team, right? And as I tell people, the best and worst of times, like they're going to review things. And unfortunately, in the worst of times, you're going to see the character of a company. And a lot of these companies unfortunately weren't prepared for this, and couples are realizing, wow, I can't depend on them. And these companies are ghosting them. So they're not, here's the couple trying to figure out like, hey, we're trying to reschedule. How do we do this? And they can't even get a phone call back or an email back from their vendor team because they don't want to cough up the deposits. And, truthfully, when it comes to photo and video, it's feast and famine, right? So like photographers and videographers, the mass majority, they literally book and live off the deposits throughout the winter, right? And now that winter's over, they're expecting to go shoot, and they've spent those deposits. I'm just being honest with you.
Yeah.
Now we have a different philosophy, and we made investments and prepared, and we are beyond blessed and in a great position where rather than be in a contraction mindset, we're there to add more value. Like we've went from, okay, yeah, this is terrible, but this is the best opportunity to help our brides and make an impact. And we're stoked about that, right?
Yeah, it is really exciting.
Absolutely. But either way, we do want to thank everyone for your patience. Like I said, we're literally trying to juggle. It's not like one person's rescheduling. It's like a tsunami of reschedules.
Upon reschedules.
Yeah. I mean, we have couples who rescheduled from March to, June, and now they're rescheduling the June wedding to whatever. And then on top of that, we get all these phone calls where people are frantically trying to replace their vendor team because they're like, I can't get a hold of my photographer. They might not even be in business anymore. It's just either way, they want a team they can depend on. They're looking to us. So it's like this just huge blessing there. But man, it's crazy because we just want to make sure like we've never missed a wedding and we don't plan on it. But I feel like so many companies are setting themselves up to like, if they make it through this, the risk is, do they double book? Do they even forget about a wedding they booked? So we're very adamant about making sure everything is to the T, is in the calendar, is confirmed, that has
triple checked. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Like we do not want to miss a wedding. Like that's our nightmare. And we're not going to do that. Right. But either way, we wanted to bring that up to you guys. For all we know, you may be obviously a couple looking for a new team. We feel your pain. Hey, check us out. If we're available, we'd love to play a part. I think if you dig into our reviews and dig into our story, you'd be shocked. Either way, man, we feel for you guys. It's crazy as far as that goes. Now, a few things too along those lines. Deposits and cancellations policies, right? It still blows my mind. No companies are talking about it. Everyone just wants ignored, it seems like the majority of them, we wanted to get ahead of this. We got videos we're posting, we got pages dedicated. The first email you get from us now, if you're inquiring, has our COVID-19 responses, right? And that talks about our deposits. That talks about our rescheduling policies, right? That's important to us. We want to make sure we're upfront and transparent. Either way, if you are a vendor out there, man, take heed. You got to give information. You got to help people out in these challenging times. Now's the time to prove that you're a professional. Give them as much information. Man, I could go on forever about our industry and how much a lack of transparency there is and how frustrating that is when we were planning our wedding.
Yeah.
I say this all the time. Why in the world would you expect anyone
to trust you,
to book you on one of their most special days of their life, if you can't even be honest and straightforward enough to let them know what your prices are and what your policies are? That's absurd. Mm-hmm. The trust has to go both ways. And man, our industry needs to wake up. So, another thing, interesting. We'll talk about this another day. Location, right? Because Illinois, one of the toughest COVID-19 responses. Our neighbor, Indiana, completely different as far as that goes. It could be very interesting for a lot of couples who might find it more in their favor to just go across the border and hold the wedding day over there.
It's opening up.
We'll talk about it at another day and age, but it's I think worthwhile to think about for some couples. It could alleviate a lot of headaches, that's for sure. Now, one other thing we definitely have to chat about is our response, right, to this
absolutely
COVID-19. So as we've shared already, we want to make a huge impact. We feel like these are the times that are going to differentiate obviously individuals and showcase their character. And we want this to be a pivotal moment that showcases what we stand for, what we do in times of trial, and how we help our couples out. So we've done quite a bit, right? So for any and all 2020 photo weddings that actually happened this year.
Yeah,
we're hooking them up.
Yeah, we're super excited. So you guys get essentially a free romantic wedding album.
So
which it's so beautiful. I'm sure we obviously shared some of the photos with it already.
Yeah.
And then I've got another one coming through, which we're super excited to showcase that one as well.
Yeah. Now, another thing we actually launched was our free wedding cinemas, and this is available for all of our, once again, 2020 couples, as well as all potential couples. Like if you're planning a 2020 wedding still, man, check that out. We're giving away a free wedding cinema each and every single month, which is mind-blowing. We've already given out our first one to Nicole, a first responder. She's on the front lines. Her fiance is also a first responder. Super stoked about that. Either way, check it out. We just want to be that light, that glimmer in some of these bad times and make a difference, right? Like I guarantee you, there's not a single company doing this, and that's why it's so like profound, like for me, and like so impactful. Like that's what we always try to do, is do what no one else is willing to do. Like that's our motto.
Yeah. And
it's like perfect example. Now, in addition to that, if you are a past couple and you're checking in on this podcast, little snippet here, hey, good to see you. Good to hear from you, hopefully. We also had something in store for you guys. You guys know we always are adding more value even after your wedding day has passed. We're actually looking for some entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. We want to give you a little business makeover because we know the environment's changing and people are going to need help. And we want to make sure we're there to help you and navigate some of this. If you are an entrepreneur, check out our COVID-19 response videos. I'll actually include that as well below in the description, but make sure you check out that playlist. We'd love to hear from you and see how we can help you out best as well. Now, one other thing too I want to chat about is what we're also seeing is some of these shortened wedding days, right?
Yeah, and it's in the influx for sure.
Yeah, so and like you have to adapt, right? And that's something we strive to do, is adapt on the fly. And this is new to us as well. Some things and some we're going to hit out of the park and some we're going to strike out on. We definitely struck out on, the first few of these shortened weddings. The problem is like they had said, hey, we're going to do a short wedding and then we're going to have another wedding. Reception later down the road, a year later. So we were like, our mindset is, okay, awesome. We want to hook it up. We're going to give you a crazy low price. And we did that. And sure enough, we went and shot, and then
the wedding,
everything went great.
Yeah.
And the couple was like, "Hey, this was enough for us." And they're like, "We're not gonna do the additional wedding." And we're like, "Wow, that sucked." Like from our perspective, remember, we're just sharing brutal honesty. Like we literally went the lowest insane price
we could,
and it's like, wow, we got royally, we royally screwed ourselves to a degree.
Yeah.
And it's no offense to the couple, like I truly believe that was what they were anticipating, but
things change.
Yeah. So either way, we still have a lot of couples who are saying, hey, we want to do this short ceremony. We want shortened coverage. That gets complicated. We're going to have to put together custom quotes. And what we're probably going to have to do from this point on is put two custom quotes together. One, obviously we're going to hook it up. We're all for hooking it up for our clients, right? Yeah. As long as we continue to shoot down the road for you with that package on file, right? And then the second quote will be obviously in case you decide not to, right? Like, so we got to have some sort of protection where we're not screwing ourselves, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure we're making these changes because, we need to continue to make sure that our business still, at the end of the day, that we succeed, right? Now, like I said, still a lot that's unfolding. There'll probably be a lot more changes down the road. But either way, we had to talk about as far as that goes. Now, one last thing we definitely want to chat about is our excitement, right? Our excitement. And I know this is a tough time for a lot of people to be inside. And, it's tough when you have to contemplate rescheduling your entire wedding. And I always like to remind people, you're going to be marrying your best friend. It's going to be totally worth it. I know it's... Who would have thought a once in a lifetime pandemic came through? But we'll
definitely be talking about this for years. Yeah. And I mean, this is history
for sure. But either way, we're super excited when we do have a chance. If we are capturing your wedding day, I assure you, we are continually raising the bar in quality standards. We always strive to over deliver, and just like I said, we want to be that standard that every vendor in our industry looks up to. And we've had so many things that we've been working on, and trust me, we're not sitting around twiddling our thumbs. Like we've been gearing up, and it's funny. Like it's a perfect example. Like we're the last one to shoot, and we're the first one to shoot. I bet you in the industry.
Yeah.
And like we're shooting this weekend again. Like so, it's like I tell people, like, you know, there's blessings definitely for us in this crazy time. It's like people have more than ever seen the value in us, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. But for you guys, I just want to reassure you, if you've partnered with us, you're going to love the quality that we're going to be spitting out, because we're raising the bar again, and we're super excited about it. Now, hopefully you enjoyed this video. I know we went on far much longer than we were hoping to. Hopefully that you found some value in it. And if we can help with anything, do not hesitate.
Yeah, please reach out. We're here to help for sure.
Guys, we are wishing you health and wellness, and we are clocking out.
Yep. Talk to you later.